What's going on, beautiful people? It's Monday, March 29th, 2021, man. Glad you made it. It's another So-So production. We're doing another sesh, boys and girls, ladies and gents. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride today, man. We're going to talk about a lot of fun things, a lot of weird things, a lot of things that are out there, a lot of things that are in here, things that involve us and larger society, and we're just going to ask questions, boys and girls. All of this is for your entertainment purposes. Don't take anything I say literally. Go do your own research. If you want to fact check, go ahead, fact check. I never fact check anything. Jokes, but seriously, without further ado, let me get a sip of this bad boy coffee. And we'll get right into it, man. We'll get right into it. A lot of exciting things are happening. Just want to give you a heads up. Bunch of surprises coming for you guys this week towards the end of the week, man. It's gonna be, we're growing, baby. We're growing. The wheels are turning, everything's in motion. We're taking baby steps, wee little baby steps every now and again, here and there. Trying to make, try to take it with a stride, dude. Try to get a little pace going, and things are looking good. I'm excited. You should be excited. March already, it's already done and over with, man. April's gonna be, rent is pretty much due very soon. Things are looking a little bit dicey, dude, but it's alright. We'll get through it, boys and girls. Want to be sending you guys all a lot of love and support via the airwaves. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and follow me on Patreon, dude. Let me get another sip, and we'll get right into it. Bums, ba-bums, bums, 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 ba-ba-bum. Bum bums 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 ba bum 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 bums bums ba ba bum bum bums bums ba bum bums bum bums ba bum bum bums. What am I talking about, dude? Well, let me just give you a little recap of what happened over the weekend, dude. Going back to the previous week, last Saturday, not this particular Saturday just came and went by, right? Like last Saturday when I was out on the streets doing my walking, doing my hiking as I normally do when the weather's outside and it's permitting. I went outside and noticed thousands of people on the streets protesting anti-mask, anti-lockdown, and again, mentioned this before in my videos. I didn't know this was an ongoing thing, had no idea. And then this weekend I decided to go ahead and join these bad boys and bad gals and see what it's all about, from afar, not too close, because you don't know. I'm not a big fan of like going into large protests and what have you, because next thing you know, you're in front of a rally marching for things that you don't even believe in, you know what I mean? People be chanting random stuff and you're like, I'm not with that guy. But that's what it is, man. Went down this Saturday looking for a crowd. Didn't seem to find that large of a crowd, to be honest with you. So it wasn't worth it. I took my camera with me, went out with my brother, but didn't seem too many people out there. It was not worth it for me to. I saw a bunch of people. I saw a whole bunch of people at Queen's Park, but not a large enough crowd for me to be like, you know what, let me record this and make it into a story of some sort. And that's the thing, man. I don't want to be doing any gunzo journalism, dog. You know what I mean? Thompson S. Hunter, dude. And yeah, I don't want to be doing any of that gonzo journalism, you know what I mean? It's just like I'll portray whatever I can to the best of my ability whenever the atmosphere and situation allows me to do so. But most of this stuff is just for entertainment. I want to come in here, make some jokes, make you guys laugh, make you guys think about stuff, and get us talking, so that through the talking, hopefully we can come up with some answers. And if not, man, we just spend some good quality time together. What's the matter, dude? Don't you want to spend some time with the fam? Of course you do, and that's why we're here, giving back to the family, guys. That's what it is. A lot of things going on, man. Let's get into it. Let's jump into it. First of all, I'd like to put my condolences out there for the victims and the families related to the stabbing that went down in Vancouver. My heart goes out. Just like every other time that anything major happens like this, whether it's in the US or any other global event that, you have mass shootings or mass stabbings or, events of terrorism, whether externally or internally, it hits a spot. And it got me to think a lot over this past weekend. I was just, this Saturday after I came back from my walk, I spent a good chunk of this Saturday and Sunday staying silent, dude, just staying in my silence. Sure, watch a little bit of videos here and there, listen to a little bit of music, but I spent a lot of hours just thinking. And your boy likes to think. One of my favorite things to do is think. Just like, that's one of my favorite things to do is think, dude. So, your boy gets in his feelings, your boy try to make sense of things, and I'm just like looking at the videos that they've uploaded online. and again, it just, you know, that you hear the same rhetoric, you hear the same discourse or the same words, and again, it's just like, oh man, one bad apple, or you know, a crazy dude or a crazy gal went nuts, and just like, you know, and you see it happening. You've been seeing it take place all over the place, you know, in history. How many of these incidents have we had? And I was just like going through the internets, doing a little bit of research, just going back, like, how many mass shootings and mass events of terrorism have we had globally, dude? A lot. And like, I was just looking at Canada and the United States. Jeez Louise. First of all, there's different subcategories. There's like school shootings, there's stabbings, there's so many different categories, so it's not even like you're getting a whole picture. The numbers are not going to be like a whole, yeah, the stats, it's hard to, you know, put an exact number of like everything. Like, I think everything falls under the umbrella term of violence, but then I guess you'd have to like allocate them to the proper subcategories of violence and what have you. But nonetheless, man, it got me to think, and I'm just like going back, trying to do some research, going back. I'm interested in people who have, you know, for whatever reason, and we'll get into it, have gone beyond that line of, I guess, what it means to be a human, and have committed acts that are just like heinous, committed acts that are hideous, and go against everything that humanity's all about. So I just like question these people, and I was, you know, I've like some of you guys who might have, you know, been interested in doing a little bit of research on people like Charles Manson. There was the other guy, Richard Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken, Ted Bundy, all these dudes. Or like, you know, you look into the JFK assassinations, you look at maybe a little bit of this could even be said about the John Lennon assassination, and so many other people. So many things go down, and you just like, man, it happens so frequently. Is it just people losing their, like, you know, marbles? Is this an act of, you know, is this at random? Is this, but then it happens so much, so you start like, you know, you look at it and you start to see a little bit of pattern formulating, that every once in a while we seem to have in different locations people that pop their fuses, bruh. People who just, you know, go a little bit extra over the, yeah, extra over, I don't know what it is, it's the line, right? Every one of us is like capable of doing things, but I guess some people just like, that's the thing, I can't fathom hurting anybody else. I try to put myself in their position just to see what we can't. We like, you and I probably, like most people, and hopefully you won't actually be able to really get what's going on inside a person's psyche to, you know, go over that limit and just like see red. But one thing that I've always been interested in is the reason why I've been interested in these things is I tend to think that these are actually societal acts. I don't think that it's just one individual like losing their marbles. It's definitely, I'm not taking away responsibility from these individuals, but I do think to a certain degree that these are gonna keep happening, and we're gonna see more of these, and this could be a case of mind control, dude. And I'm not taking I'm not taking responsibility away from the individual, but I'm just saying there are aspects of our society that probably foster these behaviors. You know what I mean? Because we've all got good and bad inside of us, and I'm just trying to make sense of it. I'm just like looking at these people who every now and again, you know, they go on a spree, they go on a shooting spree or a stabbing spree, 10, 15, 30 people, and then they take themselves out. Sometimes they do suicide by cop, different methods, and it's you know, it's baffling for us to just see this and try to make sense of it. And what does it do? It just, you know, it scares the public whenever we don't look into it. We just like, we get scared of each other. It puts a distance between us. It puts this image that people are now, you know, virus carrying, be careful, stay away, disease ridden. Also, most people are not so stay away, don't communicate with each other, don't loiter, don't hang out, don't solicit, don't do all that gathering and talking and questioning things, right? None of that is good, and part of that seems like, part of it is definitely individuals here and there that have lost their minds. Part of it is definitely that. But a part of it, I think, is systemic, dude. Part of it is, I think, being programmed in our psyche, in our subconscious, and we have, I think, and again, we'll talk about this in more depth, and again, we've got a ton of surprises coming for you guys towards the end of the week. I want to be talking to you guys about this stuff a little bit more in depth, and I'm no expert on any subject by any stretch of the imagination, boys and girls. I'm just shooting around ideas, talking out loud with you guys, try to see how you guys feel about it. And a lot of it, not to get too conspiratorial about it, don't go down that, I don't want to ever, I'm never the type that wants to go down a rabbit hole to the extent where I'd be like, oh man, I found out the answer, I know what's going on, it's this particular group that's doing these particular things, and it's this individual or it's that group. I don't think the world is so black and white. I think there's so many things simultaneously taking effect, and I think sometimes we don't even know it, and sometimes we're a part of that system, dude. We're a part of that system, and part of that discussion I'll get going hopefully towards the end of the week, and we'll dig into it a little bit more. But what I was just trying to realize is how do people go ahead and do things that are from the outside seemingly in contradiction to all our innate senses of what it means to be a human. How does somebody go and kill somebody else? And yeah, a lot of this interest of human behavior led me to dig up into what people were doing during the the Nazi era, or even prior to that. I think humans have always been fascinated with dominating one another, controlling one another, getting each other to do other things. So I've always been interested in that aspect of it. I wanted to learn and know why it is that certain people behave in a particular manner. And it's interesting because a lot of this stuff and if you and I are interested in it just for the sake of learning, you bet your bottom dollar that the government and the different government branches of different governments of different countries have always been interested in how the human mind works. And during World War I and II, they started to really look into the psyche of the human and really dig into see what makes us tick, what makes us angry, what makes us upset, what makes us consume things, what makes us stand up against some things, what makes us completely docile. And they did a lot of research and did a lot of human experimenting with projects after World War II was over. A lot of Russians, a lot of the Russian government took in a lot of the Nazi scientists. A lot of the American scientists and governments also took in a bunch of Nazi scientists, and together, everybody in different countries have always been doing this. Everybody's been doing all sorts of research on how the human mind and body and spirit work and how it can be manipulated and controlled. And they did a lot of experimenting. One of those experiments was codenamed MK Ultra, and MK Ultra was, basically a program that they wanted to conduct research using psychedelics like LSD, electroshock therapy, lobotomies on people, on unwitting subjects, people that had no consent, people that had no prior knowledge of what they were getting themselves into. And after that came out a few years later, obviously a few decades later, we were supposed to pass laws basically indicating that you're not supposed to do research in science on people specifically without their consent and without them knowing. But that had went on for quite a bit of time, and even Canada, even we were participating in this as well. In McGill University, we conducted research on humans. I think again, go ahead and please, none of these things are straight up, you should always be double checking whatever you hear. But I know the head of the department, or I guess the head of the MK Ultra program at McGill University, his name was Dr. Cameron. And yeah, man, there's tons of documentaries done by the Fifth Estate, by the CBC, by so many other great people, great networks, actually digging into this kind of stuff and seeing what kind of atrocities we've done to one another. And why am I interested in these things? It's well, why were these people interested in these things? Because here's what they did, and this is just my understanding. Again, I'm not any expert by any stretch of the imagination, but from what I found out is that they figured out that the human mind is actually way more capable than we think. We are actually, what they claimed is that, yeah, the Nazis figured out that each individual is actually made up of not just one ego, but different types of egos and different types of personalities. And a lot of that had to do with studying people, putting people in different circumstances, again, treating them with LSD, treating them with electroshock therapy, and they were essentially trying to, some of the doctors were trying to erase people's memories or their entire identity and basically give them new identities or give them alter identities. And alters can basically form when a person, who are these, by the way, the people who went into these studies were, most of the times, they were sexually abused when they were younger. They were, people who didn't have the socioeconomical resources to hold their head above the water and had gone out of their way to seek assistance and wanting to get help for whatever medical reasons. Like this one lady, again, I'm just telling you stories. This one lady had postpartum depression, and she went in to the facilities at McGill University, and they did a whole lot of horrible stuff on it. And this is just one. There's so many different things. If you guys just look up MK Ultra, if you guys look up McGill University, if you guys look up Dr. Cameron, if you guys look at so many other things that are just not coming to me right at the top of my mind and my head right now. But the point of this is that once they figured out that you can actually invoke different personalities in people, this can be used or weaponized to basically create what they dubbed as Manchurian candidates, people who would be doing their bidding for them or fighting. Essentially, they wanted to train soldiers. Basically, they wanted to create spies, they wanted to create soldiers who were going to be bidding and doing their warring for them without even sometimes without their without their own knowledge. So you're like, whoa, what are you talking about, Rob? You're telling me people can be manipulated to act in accordance to somebody else's will, but contradict everything that basically, sorry, I'm losing the train of my thought. What I'm trying to say is that people become subjects that can go ahead and participate in events that they normally wouldn't. Basically, what the government decided to do was to tap into the human psyche, and they realized that they could reprogram people because they figured that human brains are very much similar to computers, and you can program them and reprogram them and put different programs in different people. And a lot of horrible things went down. MK Ultra was eventually shut down, quote unquote. But here's the thing: when top secret government research, when top secret government experiments go down and it comes with the price tag of putting people's lives in danger, most of the times you're not going to find too many resources that are going to be blatantly pointing fingers to particular government branches or to particular groups. A lot of this stuff, a lot of the documents were burnt on purpose. There's still a lot of declassified documents out there. What I'm interested to know is that once after these, I guess, individual psychological experiments stopped, or as to the extent that I'm sure this kind of stuff goes on in a lot of places, you guys, in a lot of places. Don't just look at Canada and the US. This kind of stuff went down everywhere, in South America, in Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa, different subcategories, different groups, different government branches. Sometimes, it gets tricky. But what I want you guys to know, and we'll talk about this, what I want you guys to know is the whole point of this is for us to get informed. So I was always consumed with the idea of, okay, you could control a person's mind if you have them sitting in front of you, if you give them drugs, if you put the electroshock therapy on them, and if you do a whole other range of tests and experiments on them. Perhaps you could break them down to the point where they regress to infancy, and then you can maybe potentially rewire their brain to basically become these Manchurian candidates and what have you. I was interested in that aspect, but I was also interested in the notion of could you get people to do certain things without giving them that direct electroshock therapy, that direct LSD dosages or whatever else that was incorporated to the techniques, and creating these altered personalities. And basically they were trying to provide you with a personality disorder, or have you have multiple personality disorders. So they would take in patients who, had schizophrenia, again, or multiple personality disorders, and they would just imagine you have that kind of condition back in the day, and there's not too much knowledge. And again, I've done a little bit of research on my own time, but I'm a little bit skeptical of all that. And this is not to belittle the good things that they've done, but the psychology department, the emergence, if you look into the history of the emergence of psychology and many other sciences, sociology, anthropology, many other sciences. Even like I talked about this before. Basically, in the 19th and 20th century, what a lot of things started to fall under again because of the world powers striving to take over the globe. Nazi Germany on one side, you had the Russians on the other side, you had, communism, fascism, and a lot of lost the train of my thought. I'm sorry. There's just so many things to keep track of, and the point that I'm trying to make is that you're not gonna, even after doing a ton of research, you're not gonna be able to find a particular answer as to, oh, I found it. And a lot of these things should be, you should really look into these things with a critical eye. Always be aware of your own biases, because it's so easy to get sucked into a trap or a little rabbit hole down into the internet and then start finding, because I know people like to do research. People have got a lot of time on their hand. Next thing you know, you're associating or you're looking into people or groups that are, trying to pinpoint blame. What I'm trying to say is that be careful of what you search for, because there's a lot of things on the internet. Next thing you don't want to just be, a lot of this kind of thing, conspiracies in general, can lead to, easy answers, or answers that are going to be sometimes xenophobic or anti-Semitic, or just, racist in some senses. I don't want this to ever come down. I'm never the type. I love all people. I don't think it's one particular group. I don't think it's one government agency. I don't think it's one region or one nation. I think basically we're all part of the same thing. There's good and bad people everywhere, in every nation, in every agency, in every realm of business and conduct. And what I was trying to say is that back in the day, in the 19th and 20th century, a lot of the sciences, the arts, everything started to really form and shape under the umbrella of eugenics, human population control. And a lot of people were worried that we're going to be, we're going to get to a point where we can't feed ourselves, or we're going to have overpopulation. And that's another discourse and rhetoric that's been, put out into the zeitgeist, and people talk about it. And that's always been used as a fear mechanism to get rid of people, essentially. And who's the people that they get rid of? It's the poor, it's the impoverished, it's the sexually abused, it's the domestically abused, any cases of any. And that's the thing. How do people get multiple personalities? How do people dissociate? How do people compartmentalize different ideas and ideologies and dissociate and come back to them whenever they're triggered or what have you? This can be achieved if a person has had a lot of trauma, if a person is broken down to the point of, if you're deprived from food, if you're deprived from sleep, if you've been sexually assaulted as a young person, and for whatever reason you don't want to come to terms with these issues, there's a lot of room for you to be taken advantage of, and a lot of people have been taken advantage of. And a lot of people become a part of the system without even realizing it. Sometimes even us regular folks, even become a part of that system that maintains and upholds all these notions. And when do we uphold these notions? When do we, we don't necessarily think you and I are Nazis. You don't think that we are doing any experiments ourselves. But that's the thing, we're part of a larger collective. We've consistently been, like, what did the US government do? They took in the Nazi researchers, they formed NASA, they performed so many other. The Russians took in a lot of Nazi scientists and also helped them build their space program. And so that's the thing, it's just like history just doesn't stop. History is continuous, and wars have been shifting. We're now in an age of technology. Everything's online. It's cyber warfare now. And a lot of times you and I don't necessarily need to be in a facility, with doctors. We don't necessarily need to be in any of those facilities. We could just be sitting at our homes, living our lives, and we could still be getting programmed. How is this getting done? I believe, again, I'm no expert on any of these subjects, but the point of this video, and like many other videos that I make, is to be able to help people. A lot of times we don't realize that we're being programmed, and a lot of the programming actually happens online, or on our televisions, or in our music, or basically in the mass media. Anytime you see any acts that are, like over-sexualization of women and men and children, you see that all the time in movies and television shows and on the internet, in the music industry, and these are ways that one of the ways that they can control our behavior. One of the ways that they could numb us down, that they could dumb us down, that they could just turn us to these animals who are constantly seeking the instant gratification, the instant pleasures of life, the lustfulness of life, always seeking to, live that outrageous lifestyle of always partying, of always hopping from this person to that person, always, and these are the thoughts that dismantle society and tear at the fabric of society. And how's this correlated to random acts of violence? I think a large portion of the it goes. Here's the thing, and I want to be aware of my own biases. Sometimes what I ask myself is like, am I in any way supporting anything that has to do with mind control, that has to do with MK Ultra, that has to do with things like you hear the notions of or talks about like the Illuminati or what have you, and like that's a whole other topic of discussion. And so much of it is true, so much of it is myth, and so much of it we don't know. You and I will just not get to know because certain things in life are done behind closed doors. But there's a ton of research you could do, and there's a ton of research you could do. There are definitely groups and organizations that are sinister, that have their roots in satanic rituals. There are definitely people who do sick, perverse things in life. And essentially what I got out of this, what I've been realizing is that we create a system, and this is how we uphold it. We create a system by giving into the consumerist mindset, by giving into the rat race, by giving into the notions of alphaness and dominance and extreme competition. We provide and foster the environment to push each other to become those particular individuals that sometimes lose their mind. And everybody's at a different level, you guys. Everybody's at a different level. But imagine sometimes, like I was just like I've looked at interviews from Richard Rodriguez. I've looked at interviews of Charles Manson, and it's always been interesting for me to just I can't fathom that one person has too much power. That's the thing. I think power, I think we're all dependent on each other. Like if you look at Charles Manson and the connections he had with the CIA, very questionable, very dicey. The fact that, I'm not the first one to say this is just information on the internet, facts that took place. Sometimes they take minds that are already, teeter-tottering on the edge of insanity perhaps, and fostering events. And why would anybody do this? Well, essentially, the main goal is to put a large, or I guess put little doses of fear on a large scale here and there all the time, so that you and I, and this could be done through random acts of terror, this could be war, this could be just everything, you name it. But little by little, as we get more fear put into us, the more we become reliant on the government, the more we want to go back to the government and be like, oh man, could you please protect us from the boogeyman? Could you please put in more security cameras? Could you please watch more into our movements? And of course, and again, not to say that all people in the government or that all branches of the government are evil or bad. No, there's definitely good people in the FBI and the CIA, or in MI6, MI5, whatever you want to call all these government agencies, the Five Eyes. Everybody's got all these great people in them as well. But have these organizations at times been involved in doing some sinister shit? Absolutely. And one portion of the mind control is, again, I think done through media, mass media, the movies that we grow up on, the cartoons that we watch. And again, going back to my own biases, sometimes I'll be like, man, am I being part of the problem, or am I being part of the solution? And I think, sometimes it's that gray area where it's like, I'll wear, for example, I'll wear a Disney sweater or a Disney sweatpants, and some of you guys might be looking, some of you guys are really smart out there, and you guys are like, man, how could you support Disney, dude? And I don't support Disney like the Walt, like the man is dead or has been frozen or something, right?
Did he have anti-Semitic notions in his perspective? Probably. Back at the time, a lot of people did. I mean, like another person that could be, Henry Ford used to basically publish Mein Kampf and distribute it in the U.S. We still drive Ford cars, Mercedes Benz. We still drive all these, so many other Hugo Boss. These are all products of the past that have lingered on into our presence. Not to say that I'm not, aware of these things, but a part of me, because we grew up on these things, and I believe, for example, Disney is an evolving entity, and I hope for the most part that there are still good people trying to really create programs for kids, if they're making cartoons and whatnot, that are appropriate, that are not meant for brainwashing, that are not meant for public persuasion and shifting minds and altering minds. Did that get done? 100%. Look into it. Look into some Disney cartoons that were used for MK Ultra programming. Look at again, so many things that we could look at. But what I'm trying to get to is that for me, at this point in my life, after 31 years, when I was a teenager and heard of gun violence or stabbings or this, I legit thought that this is, random acts of violence, people just losing their marbles. To a certain degree, that's true, but to a certain degree, we are being driven in society by commodification, by high levels of competition, by being really mean out there to one another, by learning to laugh at things that we shouldn't be laughing at. And these are all ways that, I guess if you want to call it the Illuminati or the mind controllers, if you will, these are the ways that they can control it. If you grew up, and this part of me was, I grew up on rap music, and what's rap all about? It's about guns, hoes, and cars, and bling bling, and all that stuff. And I still, to this day, love rap music, but I do have to consciously check myself so that I look at it from just a entertainment, I guess, angle, and don't actually, you got to be very careful, because how much of one thing can you consume and not let it become a part of you, and not let it become a part of your outlook? So that's the thing, you got to really be able to look at things for what they are and not let them conduct your behavior. So if you constantly live in that realm where you're just listening to rap music and hustle and grind and getting this, popping that, bitches, hoes, card, I'm like, that story's been done and over. It's so rap emerged, telling stories of the streets and the struggles of the people, and it got manipulated to this commodity. Now it's all just like, who's got the biggest house, who's got the most cars, who's got the biggest spinners, who's got cars on their spinners, who's got cars inside their houses that have houses inside their cars, and who's got pools on top of these things. It's just like, who can just top each other. And I'm glad we've gotten to that point, because everything has its natural point of evolution. And I think rap music, just like anything else, is at a point where we've gone to that point, or at least as a fan of hip hop and rap, I hope we've come to that point where we've gone through the bling bling, we've made it. Now we can now go into more depth and actually come up with better lyrics, better songs, things that actually have a meaning and contribute to society. And that's just one example of it. But you see that all the time, the images that are being sold to us, the constant amount of sex that's being thrown at us in movies. And I never even watched Game of Thrones, dude, but from what I heard, it was just like softcore porn. If I want to watch porn, I'll go watch porn, you know what I mean? But that's just one example. There's so many other things. And then you start to see certain images that keep popping up, certain messages that keep popping up. You put two and two together, and although you and I might not be able to actually pinpoint to the individuals or the grand orchestrators of these events, we can actually come back and make a objective decision that, some of the stuff that are out there are probably not beneficial for you and me. Some of the stuff that are out there are actually the stuff that are pushing us further and further away from our goals, you know what I mean? And a lot of time, why do you guys think they call them television programs, dude? Television programs, dude. These are not just made for your entertainment or my entertainment. They're there to consume you. They're there to get you to dissociate little by little. Why are we encouraged to have alter egos? You know what I mean? Why are we encouraged to have such a fluid identity, because they don't want you to be you. They want you to be ready so that they can fill you in with whatever mumbo jumbo they want to sell you. And everybody's got a point and everybody's got a price number, and this is how we keep each other in check, and this is how we keep each other in those places, and this is how we keep the system going. But if we want to bring down the Tower of Babel, if we want to get rid of the minor differences that we got going on, like language, like skin color, like shape of eyes, like hair texture and all this stuff, and realize that we're all just flesh, blood and bone and human spirit underneath it all, and that we're all the same. If we want to do that, we got to really dismantle the notions of money, guys. Money needs to go, and I feel dirty about it. That's one of the biggest things that as a kid I've never ever got fascinated by, the concept of money. I never like that. I chased everything but money, dude. Now as an adult, because I'm, no longer a child and living under the care of my parents, I have to provide for myself, and just like you guys, I'm dependent on money. So to a certain degree, that's where we, it's like, it's so easy to point fingers, like, or the other day, like that's the thing. Am I part of the system? Absolutely, because a part of the system requires you to go out there and sell yourself, sell something, promote something. That could be anything, you guys, but whatever you do, you have to sell it, whether you're promoting art, whether you're promoting science, and once you put that money aspect into it, I don't have the solution. All I'm saying is that people can be taken advantage of due to different resources, due to different sources. Sometimes, these government bodies will be looking for individuals who are troubled, who are pedophiles themselves, who have sexually abused their children. They'll take them and their children, they'll use a lot of information against them, they'll sabotage them, they'll hold them hostage, they'll basically ruin their lives and make them a part of just an ongoing experiment. And a lot of that is intertwined with like the military, the Air Force, and the music industry. These are all, and entertainment in general, these are all intertwined together. Not to say all aspects of it are bad, right? Guys, I appreciate my freedom. I love my country. I love my nation. Nobody is more grateful than this guy right here for the heroes that we lost in World War I and II, that have given their lives so that you and I can sit here and talk freely. I appreciate people who put their lives in the front lines. I appreciate soldiers, and realize that sometimes there is a need for armies and what have you. But are there aspects of our lives that get taken advantage of? A little bit of that maybe in the army, a little bit of that maybe in the education system, a little bit of that may start in the household. But essentially, the way we could get rid of these things is by dismantling money somehow, or the notion, or if here's the thing, my issue is I want abundance, but I want abundance for everybody. I think we have plenty of resources. I don't think we need any sort of eugenics project. I don't think we need to have a transhumanist movement where we're getting rid of our sexes and our genders and our biologies. I think there's enough to go around, and whatever problems we have here, if we don't fix them, it's not going to be any better on any other planet, you guys. So what I'm just trying to say is, after all is said and done, and then we'll talk more about this kind of stuff, because it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me because I just don't think that people don't get ideas on their own. People don't get, and another portion of that is perpetual repetition of negative news. You know what I mean? So once something happens and you keep seeing it, monkey see, monkey do, right? So not to take away from the individual's responsibility. You guys, I hope you guys feel me. I hope there's a lot of, and I believe there are a lot of people, it's just a lot of people are scared of talking about anything, because if you talk about anything, you're crazy, or you're a conspiracy theorist, or you believe in that. No, guys, I'm just asking questions. I don't believe in anything. The only thing that has helped me keep my sanity, and to each their own, I believe in a Jesus consciousness. I believe in a Jesus mentality, and looking up to somebody who throughout history for me again gave out the notions of, promoted the notions of love, forgiveness, and community. Those things are important to me, and that's helped me maintain a balanced life. And although I realize there are a lot of nonsense and a lot of bullshit out there, I'm the most optimistic person, because I believe there's far more good than the nonsense that's out there happening. But I knew if I was researching this type of stuff, if I was interested in this type of stuff, I'm sure there's a ton of other people who look into it. But what I don't want you guys to do is, I don't want you guys going down rabbit holes and starting to go crazy, or like finding relations to things that have absolutely no sense or no meaning. You know what I mean? Like flat earthers or like this, that, and like you hear so many other whatever. You hear so many other random stuff that's just like you gotta realize you gotta keep in touch with reality. You gotta not be delusional. Are there things constantly happening that you and I don't know? Absolutely. And I believe a good portion of that probably has to do, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, due to higher wisdom and better understanding of how humans work. I mean, the thing is, we unfortunately we gotta like I think we have a lot of potential. We have a lot of abilities. I've mentioned this before. We have all of the wisdom and knowledge within us. We just need to work together, not be afraid of talking, not be afraid of questioning. Like right now, what do I think has happened over the past year? I think the largest human mind control experiment has gone down, and it's called COVID. I think the fact that now we had people fighting over toilet paper. We have people now coming like zombies, like masked zombies. Are you wearing your mask? Double mask it. Getting all up in your space like zombies, just like pumping out information that they were told, not questioning things. I think right now we're under mass hysteria or mass manipulation. I think we're making that turn. I think we're coming back around. We're reeling it back in. But that's the thing. I think this year we got tested. We got tested in different parts of the world. Different governments, different countries are all different experiments. That's the way I see it. That's the way that I think it's happening. But I think we'll come out of this and we'll hopefully wisen up a little bit, we'll learn a little bit, and learn to treat each other with more respect and dignity, and don't push people to those circumstances. That's the thing, and a lot of this stuff can be a lot of this stuff can be mitigated, a lot of this stuff can be mitigated if we just give a little bit more resources and pay attention a little bit more to mental health concern, and destigmatizing mental health, destigmatizing getting help, destigmatizing talking about issues that affect a lot of us. And again, a lot of these things, a lot of your issues will not, boys and girls, get solved until you tackle it from the root. If you're constantly finding yourself acting irrationally or getting angry or upset, and look deep, dude, is there something bothering you? Is there something that, look into it, talk to somebody, get help. See a therapist if you need to. Make sure you're not alone. Make sure you don't, and like always, that's the thing, guys, keep a journal. Write down. Everybody should keep a journal. I think at the end of the day, if we want less government involvement in our lives, we got to take that, we got to take that responsibility in ourselves to make sure that we as individuals are conducting ourselves okay. And to a certain, and I don't want to get too much of like some would argue and say that's the government, that's the ultimate governmentality, that you should be technically policing yourself. No, it's not like that. Again, I look at the glass half full, you guys. I don't want anybody looking into my lives and telling me what to do. That's why I just, not even just for that reason, for the sake, what I want to do, like the things that I strive for, I just strive to, be a little bit better at whatever it is that I do, whether it's making jokes, talking to you guys, being a friend, being a lover, being a son, being a member of the community, whatever it is, I just try to do a good job at it. And sometimes your boy fails, just like all of us, we have a bad day, you make a remark at somebody, or you weren't as polite as you should have been in a circumstance, or where we all have our little ups and downs here and there. But what I'm trying to say is I've always just tried to make myself better, just because it benefits me and everybody else. But everybody should be aware of these things. There's definitely, your mind is very malleable. You're very susceptible to, and myself included, we're very susceptible to information. And this boy right here, this guy right here, is just trying to make sense of it all. And yeah, again, my condolences, my heart goes out, but to a certain degree, I don't think this will be the last of it. I don't think that this is a reason for us to ban guns or ban knives or whatever it is that we want to do. I think this could all be reduced to a certain degree. Now, we can never get rid of violence altogether, you guys. That's striving to reach utopia, and humans aren't meant for that. you know? But we can definitely reduce these things. And you know, people, the other day when I forgot to mention something to you guys in the beginning, which I wanted to mention when I started singing the bum 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 song, dude. You know what I'm talking about? I was just on the subway heading downtown, or heading down rather, and I got on the subway. I was just sitting there listening to my music, and I was about to get up and leave at my station, and I looked up and noticed that there is a person lying on the bench taking up 3 seats with their pants halfway down, and you know, they had their back towards the people, and they just say, you know, you saw a little bit of that bum, dude. You saw a bum. And that was a homeless person. I couldn't tell whether they were male or female. That's not the point. The point that I'm trying to say is I'm just seeing way more people on the streets. I'm just seeing way more people having a rough time, dude, having a rough time, and people acting wild and out, dude. You know, sometimes, and you want to help, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And that's the thing, we need all of us to be cooperating and working together. Point of this video was to show you guys that, or rather remind myself and remind you guys that there's always hope. There is always, you know, find stuff that are positive for you in your life and that make you a better person and that are helping you grow. You can either grow or you can, you know, regress. Because we're always changing. You're never going to remain the same. You're either going to grow for the better or you're going to regress. And it's up to you to a certain degree to decide. And yeah, we should do everything in our power as a society to help foster an environment where we don't have as many mass shootings, where we don't have as many mass stabbings, or random, again, quote unquote, random acts of violence and hate. And we could pick into it and just try to see, oh, was this race driven, or was this, you know, was this a case of sexism? This is just gonna, it's been happening forever. It'll continue to happen. And if we don't foster an environment where people have a chance or have several chances at succeeding in life and getting themselves the help that they need, sometimes you'll have individuals who will just say, F it, and burn everything down. And it sucks. And it sucks and it's tragic, but we need to, even at the hardest moment where we think we are not gonna have any sympathy, where we cannot be empathetic, we should try to come back and again fight everything with love, dude. Fight everything with love and patience. And because who are these people? We dehumanize them and look at them as if they're this like phenomenon that just happened, as if it just happens that you have mad men or mad women in society. No babies. Rarely ever do we have any babies that come out evil or ill-willed. You know, most of the behavior is taught. We come out dying and reliant on others to survive, and it's just depending on the environment most of the time that we get exposed to. We either become loving individuals or we get turned down, we get beat down, we get, you know, pushed away, we get casted away. And sometimes, you know, people, everybody's got a limit, and sometimes you find those individuals who have just like, they've lost their parents, they didn't have breakfast in the morning every day, they went to different schools every time, they were, you know, diagnosed wrongly with ADHD, this, that, and the other. They put on drugs. They were sent from one foster home to the next. They probably got abused here and there. They probably got, you know, a lot of neglect and not enough love. And that's what creates these people. And we look at them and say and the acts that they do are monstrous and horrible. But for us to detach any sort of responsibility from ourselves and to say, yeah, that's just one crazy, you know, bad apple, and it's not going to happen to anybody that I know or anybody, you know, and it's just like, that's ridiculous. That's the scary and slippery slope where we start, you know, looking at people and saying, you're the problem, buddy. I've got nothing to do with you're the problem. I think collectively we should roll up our sleeves and look more into, again, how to provide society with better amenities, how to get people more access to mental health, how to decrease the stigma of getting assistance for your mental health, how to get rid of this dog-eat-dog world where we're chasing money all the time, you guys. Everybody's always on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and it's completely up to us, you guys. The power that is assigned to people is only assigned to people because we as a collective decide to make kings, decide to make queens, decide to have millionaires and billionaires, and now moving in 2025, we're gonna have trillionaires. These are the people, and even these people, all that power is delusion and It's not there, you guys. As a human, you only have access to whatever you have in front of you and at the moment. You know, even the Bill Gates, even the Jeff Bezoses don't have access to all their billions of dollars. It's just a number sitting in an online bank account. At most, they'll have just as much as you and I have. They get up the same way, they go to sleep, they eat, they might travel a little bit more, conduct a little bit. Just the way we've created this system where you're always supposed to be fighting to get ahead, you're always supposed to be fighting to have a roof over your head, and that if you want to advance the society, the only way to do it is get money, get cheese. That's the society that leads to kids wanting to do things quickly. Kids looking to, why did we have so many people go online and join OnlyFans during this pandemic? So many people, random, everyday folks started doing a little bit of porn, dude. If that's not satanic mind control, I don't know what is. If that's not, and did your boy ever get any thoughts of maybe stepping into a situation where I could have gotten a little bit of easy money? Absolutely, but thank God I found the wisdom and the strength or whatever it was that helped me not to do those things and stay on the right path. And I hope to continue on that right path and do my little part, dude. And a little bit of that is talking and listening. Boys and girls, I love you so much. Ladies and gents, thank you for your love and support. I will be back here on Wednesday, and we got a lot cooking for you guys this week. Trust me, everything's gonna be just fine. I'm so happy and excited, sending you guys all positive vibes. Let me get another sip of this before I say goodbye. Love you guys. I'll talk to you all very soon. Peace out.